RFK is having a much larger impact on the Democratic party primary than I anticipated. And I don't think he's gonna stop Joe Biden. I don't think he's gonna put a large dent into the Democratic Party, but he is a big PR nightmare for the Democratic Party. He's there debunking a lot of their talking points. I want your thoughts on him, like your thoughts in general on RFK.
I think that's a good thing, though. You know, I've known my brother for many, many years. I used to go to his conferences here in Las Vegas when he was talking about tort law. He'd bring all these environmental lawyers who were progressive and have me come in on panels and give keynotes and things. And his sister Carrie, who at that time was married to Andrew Cuomo, my dear sister, and so forth. So I've always, had an appreciation of his good side. It's just that even when he gives these talks on foreign policy and these flip-flops on the Palestinian question and so forth, I mean, that's just spinelessness for me. I have no patience. Mm-hmm. I have no patience for that. Anybody who would leave an oppressed people abandoned in the world and subject to some of the most barbaric violence every day, it's hard for me to have a respect for their moral character. It really is, which means American politicians across the board, because so few of them really speak out on that issue. And that's, for me, a crucial litmus test. It's like what South Africa was in the 1970s and 80s. It's tied to U.S. policy. And then at the same time, you get this kind of turning and acting as if these babies are not being killed and innocent people are not being murdered and so forth and so on. And you can do that in a way, as we know, that has nothing to do with anti-Jewish hatred, nothing to do with anti-Jewish sentiment whatsoever. It has to do with understanding what occupation and domination is, and being honest and candid about that.
Let me interject here also, because Marianne Williamson has the same stance. She is a Zionist herself, and I did catch you on a couple of networks. One of them, you had a quote saying RFK must be on a crack pipe.
Get off the crack pipe.
Get off the crack pipe. Now, this speaks to what I said earlier about the bourgeoisie, the professional managerial class. They're not reliable allies, because they brought you on to talk about RFK Zionism without bringing up Marianne Williamson Zionism, because they're pushing Marianne Williamson. Katie Halpert and Breonna Joy Gray are pushing Marianne Williamson. So they bring you on to talk about RFK Zionism without at all talking about Marianne Williamson Zionism. This is the dynamic of the bourgeoisie. You see, they have an angle, and the angle was to bring down RFK Jr.'s stature by having somebody of your stature, Cornel West, speak about RFK, but leaving out that Marianne Williamson has the same two-state Zionist solution. The same one. Marianne Williamson is not different in any way, and in many ways, she's worse than RFK Jr. And I just wanted to make that point. I don't know if you knew that about Marianne Williamson.
Both of those sisters are supporters of
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
I'm sure you didn't. I'm sure they didn't tell you either. But yes.
But you would think that they also would be breaking from the Democratic Party. Why would they?
You would think so, but they're not. And this is the problem with the professional managerial left. They are willing to straddle this line. They're willing to straddle this line, and we are just simply not. And we call them out for that. And that's why we are the potty mouth bad guys over here, because we're not there. The left has been too milquetoast. That's why we're here. And RBN is to say, nah, this is not happening again. We're going straight to the problem, and we're using the language that's going to cause a little stir, because the language that's going to cause a little stir is going to wake people up. I saw Malcolm X movie, and that's how I began to speak the way that I speak, with very frank language. And I was a preteen when I saw that movie, and it changed my life. It literally changed. I walked out of that movie and I was a different person. And I said, I'm going to begin to talk like he talks, use impolite language. I don't mean profanity. I mean stuff like war criminal in polite conversations. And that has put us in this box. But I needed to point that out, because it didn't feel like you knew that about Marianne Williamson.
Brothers and sisters at the Black Agenda Report then.
Yes.
When I have dialogue with Sister Margaret, I used to meet with Brother Glenn once a month, just like I like meeting with y'all once a month. me and Glenn Ford would kick it for hours. You know, he chain smoking. I tell him, oh my brother, oh,
that's Rome. That's Rome for us.
He's such a freedom fighter, and he had close relations to James Brown. His whole relation to black music, of course, is not fully understood, but he was unbelievably crucial in the shaping of black music. His father was having that black station down in Georgia that James Brown owned. He worked for James Brown. So he was right there with all the musicians and so forth. But Glenn Ford was saying the same thing you all saying. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. He's the one that made the brilliant argument that the greatest evil is the Democratic Party. The most efficient evil is the Democratic Party. And regarding your comments, and that's why it's good to have someone who actually really strong on Palestinian rights running, because we've seen weakness for ever since I've been paying attention to politics, and a lot of RFK fans are not happy with us because I'm like, dude, if you don't get that issue right, you show you're unserious. Like that's a very important issue.
What kind of counter argument do they give to y'all? Do they have any counter?
Oh no, just overlook it. That's the best thing you got. Just overlook it. Not everyone's perfect. Everyone's not perfect, but you standing for genocide or not? That's a very easy issue to get created. I had the Palestinian Community Network on. We had the grandkid of Nicholas Mandela, Nkosi Mandela, on to speak about the issue of the Palestinian rights. We know the longstanding tradition of solidarity between South Africans, African Americans, and Palestinians, and we are not going to break that to support a politician. Like, that's absurd. Like, that's an issue that you must get right, because I would be upset if someone was supporting someone who was weak on African American issues, correct? So but we supposed to support someone who's weak on Palestinian issues. Like, I need that consistency. I'm able to show consistency, and that's why I'm able to hold people accountable.